Yet another sign that when economic times are tough, things can get ugly. A new report suggests that right-wing extremism may be on the rise in this country. Department of Homeland Security says these groups might be using the recession and the election of the country's first African-American president as tools to recruit new members. They say there's no specific information on planned violence by domestic right-wing terrorists, but real estate foreclosures, unemployment, and tight credit could all lead to a fertile recruiting environment. There's even the possibility of confrontation between these groups and government authorities. The report says many right-wing extremists are antagonistic toward President Obama and his perceived policies on issues like immigration, expanding social programs to minorities, and restrictions on owning guns. It also points to concerns about anti-Semitism, saying that some people are blaming the loss of jobs in this country and home foreclosures on a conspiracy planned by a, quote, cabal of Jewish financial elites, unquote. The report cites lone wolves and small terrorist cells as the biggest threats because their low profile makes it hard to catch them before they do something awful. The Southern Poverty Law Center agrees that President Obama's election may have boosted membership in some of these groups, but questions the link to the economy. Meanwhile, at least one conservative radio talk show host suggests this report is meant to step on free speech and First Amendment rights, which the Department of Homeland Security, of course, denies. And it's worth noting that the Obama administration also issued a warning about left-wing extremists. That was in January. Here's the question: what should be done about a potential increase in right-wing extremism? Go to cnn.com/Cafferty File, post a comment on my blog. Yeah, the question this hour is what should be done about a potential increase in right-wing extremism. Benny writes they claim they fear their guns will be taken away, but they're making the case that their guns should be taken away. They're about nothing but hate and disorder. Seems to me they hate intelligence and embrace ignorance. Pete in St. Louis writes the same thing we did to other unpalatable groups, such as the Mafia and the KKK. Let the FBI do their job. If they're a legitimate threat, they'll be brought down appropriately. Mike writes, right-wing extremism is a fact of life. They don't accumulate guns for nothing. I believe they are sincere in their efforts to prepare for a war, and unfortunately, I believe they think it's going to be here. These people are dangerous and fueled by right-wing nuts on the air. Tim in Arkansas writes, this type of thing happens every time there's a recession. Young urbanites resort to crime to survive, and whites in rural America unite to blame others and protect themselves. Either the economy needs to recover, and recover quickly, or we'll need to crush the extremists like pebbles, just like we did in the mid-90s. Let's pray that it happens before we get another Oklahoma City. William in Minneapolis writes, as a black man, I will shock your audience with this. Don't do anything. If the government does anything to restrict First Amendment rights of these extremists, they will go underground with more venom than before. Prosecute them under current law if they violate that law, but don't squash their rights. George in New York writes, now that they are out of the White House, I feel much better. And Mario in Montreal suggests put Rush in jail. Can't do that. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to my blog at cnn.com/Cafferty File and look for yours there among hundreds of others.